Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Bill Garrity. I'm the interim university librarian. And I want to thank you for being here today as we celebrate the inaugural recipients of the UC Davis Library Graduate Student Prize. It's so gratifying to see so many of my colleagues from campus and the library here, as well as Diane Zimmerman, Gary Novak, and is Mike here? Well, members of our library leadership board, thank you all for coming. Each of our awardees has made a tremendous impact through their community engaged scholarship, and we look forward to hearing more about that during our ceremony today. Before we begin, we should take a moment to acknowledge the land on which we are gathered. For thousands of years, this land has been home of the Putwin people. Today, there are 3 federally recognized Putwin tribes: Quetzaldehe Band of Wintun Indians of the Calusa Indian Community, the Quetzaldehe Wintun Nation, and the Yokadehe Wintun Nation. The Putwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. It has been cherished and protected as the elders have instructed the young through the generations. We are honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands. And now let us turn our attention to this impressive cohort of scholars. We are actually live streaming this to overseas in order to provide access to some of our recipients' families who can't be here. So we're grateful for doing that. The Library Graduate Student Prize recognizes graduate and professional students who have used library resources and expertise to create outstanding, publicly engaged scholarship. By shining a spotlight on our work, we hope that this prize highlights the incredible impact that UC Davis graduate students are having in this community, in the state of California, and worldwide. The work of today's awardees have touched communities from West Sacramento to West Africa. And I'm confident that I speak for all of my colleagues when we say how really inspiring it is for us to be able to support these early career researchers as they dig around in library collections, archives, manuscripts, and consult with our expertise. This is fundamentally the work that librarians and other personnel in the library live to do. So it's super grateful and very rewarding for us to be here today. So thank you, our 3 prize recipients, and to all graduate students and postdoctoral students who have applied, for giving us the opportunity to be a part of your research work and support your efforts. It's truly an honor. I'd also like to thank our colleagues in public scholarship and engagement who have been very, very close collaborators with the library in standing up this inaugural prize, the committee who judged the applications, and the team who organized and otherwise put shape to this event. Finally, I'm very pleased to introduce our UC Davis Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor, Mary Krogan, who will share some remarks on behalf of campus. Mary is an experienced administrator with more than 30 years at the University of California. She has served as Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor here at UC Davis since 2020. She's also a very proud Aggie, having earned her own undergraduate degree here at UC Davis. Mary, thank you very much for being here and working with us to appropriately honor these young scholars. Thank you.
So I am thrilled to join you here today for the Library Graduate Student Prize Ceremony. What a joy it is to be part of this inaugural celebration and to meet with these exceptional graduate students. I do want to take a moment to recognize our team that's been working in the library, not just for today's event, but day in and day out. What you do in the library is often behind the scenes, but it is so critical to the work that we all do. This is the academic hub for our entire campus, not just the center of our campus geographically. And we are so fortunate to have such a phenomenal team offering a wealth of resources and services to our students and faculty. When you come to our library, you are working with the best of the best with our library team. I also want to recognize our team in public scholarship and engagement who serve as a co-sponsor of this award. for all you do to extend the campus's impact into our community and far beyond. And as Aggies, we are focused on creating and sharing knowledge that tackles the world's most wicked problems. Faculty and staff at UC Davis are sincerely committed to improving the lives of others. And that closely held commitment attracts our students who aspire to do the same. We want to be part of something bigger and to leave the world better than we found it. So there are nearly 7,000 graduate students at UC Davis, all engaging in original research that examines scientific and societal issues, which contributes to our campus, to our community, and to humanity in profound ways. Our graduate students are important to our research, teaching, and our public service mission. But I am so pleased to join in this celebration of these specific 3 graduate students who are engaged in historical and geographical research projects that seek to understand our past and to help improve lives in the future. Of course, their projects could not have been completed without the library's exceptional team. You help our students delve into complex issues facing society, to consult on their research and their projects, and to access the country's largest research collection of more than 50 million items through our UC libraries. You connect our students with primary source materials from around the world, and our students greatly benefit from the valuable expertise and the partnership of faculty and librarians digging into research right beside them. So I'm pleased to be here today to celebrate our students for their outstanding research and scholarly work. Thank you for representing UC Davis with such excellence. And I also want to acknowledge the support and guidance that you received from your faculty advisors, who I know have got to be here in the audience. Their commitments to your success has set you on a path to make significant contributions in your fields. Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing all that you accomplish in the years ahead. Congratulations.
Thank you, Provost Kroger, for your inspiring words. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Rios, Vice Provost of Public Scholarship. I'm also excited to be here today to celebrate the achievements of our first Library Prize winners. The work that's being recognized here really embodies the essence of public scholarship, which serves diverse populations through different approaches and methodologies, and focuses really on issues of public significance. Public scholarship really bridges and addresses this sort of traditional divide that we have between research, practice, and policy, but also between disciplinary and community knowledge. So at UC Davis, public scholarship is about really reimagining the land-grant university in ways that really fosters greater epistemic diversity, inclusion, and belonging. It's really about catalyzing meaningful impact and how our faculty, our students, and our staff address real-world challenges and contribute really to the greater good. It's vibrant, it's a living process. It reaches out, it touches people's lives, and makes a tangible difference. Today, we're here to honor those who really embody the spirit of public scholarship. The diversity and depth of the projects submitted for the prize underscores the incredible work of our grad students as the next generation of leaders and scholars. So as we acknowledge the winners and their accomplishments, let's also extend our deepest gratitude to their mentors, many of which are in the room today, collaborators, families overseas as well, who have supported them every step of the way. Your success is really a testament to the collective endeavor of a university that values excellence, fosters innovation and research, and really champions public service. In closing, I encourage you to continue to pursue your passions with the same zeal and integrity that you've shown all of us so far. We all know that the challenges our society faces are really complex, but your contribution inspires us all and give us hope for the future. Congratulations to all of you for your outstanding achievements. Please join me in giving this year's inaugural winners a round of applause. So without further ado, let's now hear from the remarkable students who are being honored here today. As I introduce each recipient, please join me celebrating the contributions their projects have made and will continue to make in communities, local, regional, and across the globe. So first is Ibrahim Bàbátúndé Anọ, who is a doctoral student in history. His project is titled Speaking for the Dead, Mimicry, Ritual, and the Making of Inheritance Law in Colonial Lagos, 1863 to 1937. His research combines colonial court records with firsthand accounts by Yoruba colonial subjects to examine how Britain interfered with indigenous customs and the lasting effect of this interference in post-independence Nigeria. Please join me in congratulating Ibrahim.
Thank you, sir. And thanks to everybody for taking the time to join us. And of course, it's such an immense honor to be here. I would like to thank the UC Davis Graduate Student Prize Committee for finding my work worthy of recognition. I especially appreciate Dr. Daniel Castaneda. I think he's in the audience. Yeah. And Mr. Jason Newburn for their help securing several of my primary sources. I also congratulate my colleagues, Daniel Castaneda and Yulia Lamoureaux, for their amazing work. It is an honor to share this platform with such a duo of promising and emerging public-facing scholars. I give special thanks to my advisors who looked at different versions of my paper, Professor Bettina Ngueno, Professor Muradewon Adejumobi, both of the African American and African Studies departments, Professor Cassie Umstead, Professor Stacy Farenhold, Professor Rachel Jean Baptiste, and these are all of the history departments, and of course, my remarkably awesome main advisor, the amazing Professor Corey Decker. Thank you. I must also recognize that these are all brilliant women, without whom this project would not exist. And above all, I am very thankful to my parents and siblings back in Lagos, Nigeria, for their love and support over the years. So in present-day Lagos, where I was born and raised, which is also the location of this research, there is a constant conflict between forms of modernity inherited from European colonization and indigenous African customs. This is a common problem across several urban post-colonial cities in Africa. As my research demonstrates, this tension between the presumed modern and indigenous was already emanating on full scale while Nigeria was under colonial rule. One of such old yet lingering points of tensions concerns inheritance. That is, how to distribute the material and non-material things left behind by a deceased person. In colonial Lagos, specifically between 1863 and 1937, the bone of contention was always about how to use English law in inheritance litigations while recognizing the provisions of indigenous Yoruba customs. However, English judges in the Lagos Colonial Court, my primary location of interest, generally favored English law over Yoruba customs. Different demographics of Yoruba subjects in the colony, including widows, Western educated Christians, seized the colonial court's preference for English law to access preferable ruling over inheritance. While this process of promoting English laws over African laws and customs sometimes considered to have protected the rights of different demographics like women. In the same process, however, English laws disrupted existing indigenous inheritance structures that recognized, for instance, the rights of widows who were neither Western educated nor legally married to inherit. African chiefs who served as experts on Yoruba customs in the colonial court also used their proximity to the court to modify customs so that whenever customs were invoked in the colonial court, it often enlarged patriarchal hegemony and perpetuates the dominance of noble class in Lagos. My paper also looks at how African subjects in colonial Lagos use new forms of public advocacy like the print press, petition writing, and lawsuits to resist what they imagined to be British distortions of Yoruba inheritance rituals. My dissertation, which is tentatively titled Colonizing African Spirituality, Litigating Witchcraft and Ritual Healing in Colonial Nigeria, is a continuation of my interest in unpacking how pre-existing African spiritual forms encountered and responded to the introduction of English laws, and how those spiritual forms in turn shaped colonial jurisprudence in Nigeria. I hope to continue working with the library's amazing staffers in identifying useful sources as I proceed into my dissertation years. I appreciate your attention, and once again, I thank the Shields Library.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Next is Yulia Lamoureaux, who is a doctoral student in geography. Her project is titled Increasing Community Participation and Planning to Prevent Housing Displacement, a case study of Stockton Boulevard community in South Sacramento. So for Yulia's research, she conducted interviews with residents and stakeholders of South Sacramento's Stockton Boulevard area to identify barriers to community participation and planning. And she also recommends better ways to engage residents in the community planning process and ways that protect low-income residents from potential housing displacements. Please join me in congratulating Yulia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Yulia Lamoureaux. I'm the doctoral student in the geography program here at UC Davis. Thank you, Michael Rios, for the introduction of my research. I'm just reiterating my research in my master's thesis looked into increasing community participation in planning in South Sacramento, the area that is undergoing economic development and has residents who are potentially at this risk of displacement due to the economic development in the area. So I'm very grateful for this inaugural graduate student research prize, because it potentially brings the results of the research closer to the community. So it is my dream. I moved on with my research onto PhD program, but it is my dream to have the results of my master's thesis in community development be connected with the community at risk of displacement. And I'm very grateful that I can draw attention to this issue through this scholarship and hopefully improve the situation. I'm, as I mentioned, I'm very grateful for this co-created opportunity by the library of Shields Library of UC Davis and the Public Scholarship and Engagement Office, because this scholarship invests in graduate students like Daniel and Ibrahim, Bàbátúndé, and myself, and future generations or future applicants for this fellowship. Just a personal example, in the last 6 years, I've been leveraging the resources of library extensively in the COVID-19 pandemic period, which was rough for all of us. I'm not a student by saying that it was difficult times. I experienced the personal isolation, living not far from campus. At the time, a lot of my housemates, as we know, housing is tricky and did as well. 5 people in the house, all of them left to be with their families to escape from the pandemic and isolation. and I couldn't do that. So I found refuge in the room behind you. That was my favorite room, the reading room, where I worked on my master's thesis. And I looked at these beautiful pink flowers out of the window that you probably saw today as well. So I was very touched by the support of the amazing librarians and staff of the library for creating this safe space, socially distanced library workstations, hand sanitizers, masks, and just the support. And so I found a comfort in working alongside other graduate students. So I felt a little bit less isolated in that time. Today I learned that the UC Davis library was the only library that stayed open. Is that correct? Sounds like it was the only UC library that stayed open through the pandemic. So for me, this library provided me a lot of support. And even in the last 2 years, I've been living in a remote Mariposa County in Yosemite National Park. Not to get off completely my research shopping, but I live in the remote area right now and I'm pursuing my PhD, my doctoral degree in geography now at UC Davis. I have been receiving the materials of the Shields Library and any University of California libraries that I need, because I really like that paper feel, like the materials to look at in equitable and efficient manner, free of charge. I just look for a material that I need and then the library staff sends it to me. I'm very grateful for that. Even though I live off campus, far away from 4 hours away, a little bit away from campus, I feel very grateful for having this access to the resources and the support of the wonderful group team of library researchers. I will point out that David Mikalski and Gustafson helped me throughout the pandemic to develop my research. Of course, I'll give thanks to the incredible staff of UC Davis, professors that supported me throughout my master's and my current doctoral prep studies. So in the master's thesis, I have been mentored, I was mentored, and I'm thankful for the ongoing mentorship by the professor Nelle Branch, who is here today. Also, I'm grateful for my current advisor in my doctoral program, Professor Edward Ned Spain. And also, I would like to recognize Professor Vikram Kundinya for the ongoing mentorship for over the last 3 years. Very grateful for the community participation in my project. The community trusted me, the community of South Sacramento trusted me in my research and was willing to participate in my interviews, about 20 interviews. Last but not least, I'm very grateful to my family who's always nurtured a learner in me. I like books, just learning. And this day is also special in closing is because during COVID-19 pandemic, my family wasn't able to be here with me, but today in this room, I have my mother, who's actually first time on campus of all these years of being on campus and celebrating this achievement with me. So thank you so much for this publicly engaged library scholarship. I'm really excited that the research is getting a little bit closer to the communities. Thank you so much. And congrats to you guys too. Thank you.
Thank you, Yulia. And now I'd like to introduce, last but not least, Daniel Castaneda, who is a PhD candidate in history as well. His project is titled Democracy by Participation, the Life and Legacy of Cruz Reynoso. His exhibit highlights the lasting impact of Reynoso, the first Latino Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court, and provides insight into Mexican-American social and political experience in California. So join me in congratulating Daniel.
First, I'd like to thank the library and the Office of Public Scholarship and Engagement for creating this prize. As somebody who's encouraged undergrads to apply for the Lang Prize, it's very nice to see that there's a graduate version now. And I'm very glad to be one of the inaugural recipients along with my colleagues. Congratulations. I wanted to talk a little bit about my research today, and I have quite a few thanks to give, but I'm going to try to intersperse it as we go. So this project was about Cruz Reynoso, who was the first Latino Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court. And that's always a mouthful, no matter how many times I present this. What I really, the reason that I sort of went in this project in the first place was I was really interested in telling a story about California politics. As a political historian, I think it's very important. And when you study the 70s to the 90s, the air sort of gets sucked out by Governor Jerry Brown. But there's a number of really interesting figures, including Cruz Reynoso, who deserve more attention. And Reynoso in particular stood out to me as a Latino associate justice and somebody who I vaguely knew about, but didn't know a whole lot. And so part of what happened when I got interested in this project was I started going through the archives. And as I dug deeper, there were more and more connections that I didn't realize were there. So notably for me, I grew up in Orange County, and Reynoso grew up in Brea, California, and talks a lot about his education growing up in Orange County and how he took that with him. And there were these little moments where I started to get connected to him and his life story. And as I went, what I thought was going to happen was that I was going to tell this really neat three-part story of his time before the court, his time on the court, and his retirement. And as I dug deeper, there were so many other side tangents and stories that I thought were just as important. Perhaps even more important than his time on the court. And so what this exhibit did, I think in effect, was to talk a little bit about what it meant to be a Mexican-American person in California and what that political and social experience was like. Because oftentimes, especially in history, we sometimes move into a black-white binary, and there's more stories to be told, especially among Latino voices. And one of the other reasons I thought it was important is how important it is to diversify the study of our country's past. So Reynoso, despite being a California judge, had so many connections across the national level. Periods where he served in the Carter administration, periods where he worked with Bill Clinton in the late 90s. And so there were all these moments that I think that students don't know about, but can find ways to connect using Reynoso as a vehicle. So one of the challenges in going through this project was, I sort of didn't want to lapse too much into telling this like really heroic story. But the more I dug into it and talked to people who knew him, when I met his family, I realized that he really was, a really genuine and caring person, somebody who really wanted to see a future for California and our country that was inclusive, one that used law as a way to make our society more equitable. And so I could go on, for so long talking about Reynoso, but I think it's really important that the library opened up a space to make this project a reality. And so I want to first acknowledge the Archives and Special Collections team who really cultivated this project. Kevin Miller, who I want to identify specifically, was the one who really took a chance on this project. We met briefly because I saw somebody opening the cases, and I asked, do you ever let graduate students do this? And he said, we haven't yet, but maybe we can talk more. And so at that point, I didn't know, I hadn't identified a collection. I didn't know it was going to be Reynoso quite yet. But I realized this would be a really great opportunity to use my skills as a historian and find a way to present something to the public. And so he ended up passing me to Jason Sarmiento, who I also want to recognize, who was an archivist, works as not the Bullisan Center anymore, but did at that time. And he provided me with, invaluable professional development. As a historian, you're not always trained with how to do public engagement. And so he made me write a proposal, which was really interesting, and circulated it to the ASC staff, which was really important because they got to give feedback. And I had to really think about what the narrative was, right? Because you can't just throw a bunch of things in a case. You really have to think critically about what is the story you're trying to tell and how do you do that? And if Jason hadn't been there, I don't know that I could have done that on my own. Additionally, he did a lot of scanning and, critical work as we were getting the exhibit together, which I also could not have done on my own. So I'm very grateful to Jason and all the other staff in the Archives and Special Collections, because without them, this project wouldn't have happened. I also want to thank the Interlibrary Loan team because I got a lot of different documents about Latino history and California history. And without them, I also could not have done this project. And finally, I want to acknowledge two teams that really made my project stand out because I was able to work with partnerships across the university. And that includes the California History Social Science Project. Nancy McTighe, who was the executive director there, has really taken a strong role in increasing public engagement and bringing historians, young historians like myself, into that process. And Lena Mendez of the Hispanic Serving Institution Initiative, thank you, who also graciously funded portions of this project, including an event that we had in the courtyard here at Shields Library. In terms of where this has gone now, the exhibit was just one part, but this has been a big series of projects. We put together a K-12 curriculum. I got to write a 12th grade civics set. I got to work with teachers, with undergraduates. We had a public event. We did a teacher institute where we invited some teachers to learn how to implement these K-12 source sets. And I'm still using it in teaching. I taught the history of the United States since Reconstruction, and I found a way to bring Reynoso in. And so I think it's really important that this work continues and that we continue to support public engagement. And finally, I'm grateful to my advisor who has encouraged me in going through all these rabbit holes and things that I've been really excited about. So thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, Daniel. We're gonna award each certificate by Provost Krogan. And then after you get your prize, stay up here and then we'll do a group shot of all three of you. Okay? So you're first up, you're standing here, so here you go. Here, want to do that. Hoorah. You know. On behalf of the library, the Provost Office, and Public Scholarship Engagement, we all congratulate. Thank you very much.